All right, birthday boy's birthday just never seems to end as he just keeps turning up. But I had to do this one, right? I saw Vortex. I'm a really big fan of him and his brother. I love the way they're playing the game. I think that they have some unique twists, and they're just consistently at the top of their game. And I thought the other thing that make this exciting is that we haven't really been seeing anyone play Abysses at the highest level, mainly because of certain exploits and dirty plays, which shouldn't exist in the game right now. Feels like everyone's just choosing to avoid it until it gets fixed, almost. Because I just don't think I've spotted really any Abyssal games from kind of like your most known names so far. They've been prioritizing practicing the China, which, yeah, China's broken in its own ways, but at least it's not exploits. People trying to figure out Delhi again. I don't know if it was partly just people in their eyes have figured out Abyssids, and the Abyssids haven't changed too much. Of course, the Abyssids did see some tweaks in the recent patches, right? Like, I think some of the big things was that camel barding actually correctly works now. There was a few other things around like the Golden Age's like production times working correctly. Yes, yeah, I just checked. So there was a weird thing where the production time would only be reduced on first tier units of each type. So Golden Age now in the late game works better, which means that that's a big buff to Abbasid Dynasty's late game situation. And just a bunch of other small tweaks that just kind of seem to have fixed some issues around them. So kind of surprised we didn't see more people playing it. Like I said, though, I think it's just kind of that feeling of like no one wants to encounter them because they're worried someone's going to exploit. So they've just been kind of avoiding it. But let's see what Dick can do in this game. So drops the House of Wisdom fairly early. Didn't delay it at all. Usually, I like to see players kind of their opening resources delay dropping the House of Wisdom just to get other things down first. Like, you could easily put down the mill, and then you could have got a lumber camp instead, right? Right now, you don't have a lumber camp, so you're going to have to prioritize that first. Because the thing is, you got to remember, Abbasid Dynasty, they gather quicker from berry bushes, so they actually match the gather rate on sheep. And the thing that I've talked about in these matchups before that feature Delhi and Abbasid is actually you want to move out into the berry bushes immediately, because if you're worried that your opponent might potentially rush you, you want to actually secure the dangerous food before returning to the safe food. And although you are up against China, and you might think that you're safe and they don't rush or anything like that, we have seen that China has the ability to rush in feudal very powerfully right now, with that increased production rate just going into horsemen, scout armies, also archers. Archers definitely the most powerful and popular way to open up into feudal. And if you hang around in feudal, you'll get the Jugnu as well. So you have to actually anticipate this if you're playing a more defensive civ like the Abbasids. It could be that he has something more aggressive in mind as his opening. And overall, it hasn't hurt him too much. You can see he has already now got the required resource to go for the Eco Wing. Almost always a given choice. Like, it's hard to justify anything else. Military Wing seems cool in theory, but just the Eco Wing, just reducing the cost of villagers, it saves you so much in your progress towards either going for a castle age timing or fielding an early army that it's almost impossible to pass up. So, meanwhile, Vortex's base did go for the mill right next to the deer site. So I like this play. A little bit longer for the tax official to return the gold. And right now, that's the only way he's getting gold, right? He hasn't prioritized onto the gold vein at all. Just wants to maximize his value through the food and the wood. Understandable in the situation. And although it'll be slightly delayed compared to Dick, keep in mind that, if anything, actually at this rate, he'll be able to keep up because, of course, when you're playing the Abbasid Dynasty, your tech-up times are fixed. You can't actually interfere with them because it's not building a landmark, right? It's researching something. It's that double balance factor of like, oh, it's a pro that I don't have to invest any villages in this, but also it's a con that I can't build into this quicker. And when you're up against China, well, with that additional build speed, they'll be able to actually ramp up very quickly into that Tech 2 alongside you. Tech 2 that Vortex can afford right now. It's beginning to gather the stones, so it looks like it's going to be the double TC play. And I love this placement right here on the central choke point, right next to the gold vein. We talked about using this to expand towards something beneficial, right? In the direction of a new resource gain. And of course, it's even easier to do when you're on Hill and Dale, right? And that means you'll just easily be able to choke off these two holds and then keep this one open, as this will be his frontal-facing area. Scouting into the base. So far, Dick's about to scout this, so he knows his opponent is teching up. So he won't have the advantage to go for like a quick military rush. And if anything, actually, in some ways, you might feel behind as the Abbasids. Interesting that Dick didn't at least harass the villager. I think if he spotted out that was, if he looked closer and saw that was one villager, he actually could have sniped that one villy. Or at least forced them away until reinforcements arrive. So a little bit of a mistake there. Dick definitely could have delayed his opponent. And that'll be a big deal because remember, we said if they go up at similar timings, Vortex will be able to field an army much quicker, right? Not only is he getting this additional eco via the Imperial Official, it's the fact that he can also just go and triple the production rate of a military building with the Imperial Officials. Speaking of harassing eco, you can see actually Vortex. I love this every time. This is spiteful play. When a scout comes to attack, you club his sheep. Teach him a lesson, goddammit. So that will be snatched away from him. Barbican Sun is almost complete. No military... No, there is going to be a military presence, but it's just for the scouts to begin with. So Dick, trying to play that tight economy, right? Looks to get into scouts. Is he researching into... Yes, he is. Professional scouts almost done. And he has upgraded these berry bushes. I think, by the way, to go back to what we talked about with the opening, where he should have went the berry bushes first, I can accept it's like not that big of a deal considering on Hill and Dale. I just still think like maximum efficiency is the most logical play, considering the comparative gather rates and the more risky nature of berry bushes. But, of course, if you are worried about being rushed, you know, you are on Hill and Dale, so you can just wall these off quickly. So everybody off the gold line for Dick. Dick actually playing into the stone line. I think this was spotted out by Vortex as well before the scout left. And Dick should know similar, right? He scouted this on the way through, I believe. He did actually see the mining camp down and then working on this. And it looks like Vortex already has the required... Wait. He should have the required restore. I'm rattling my brain right now. Because I feel like he had 2 people working this for a while. And he has very little stone to show for it. I think he must have pulled them back, prioritized different resources. But they'll try and make up for it now. So we'll get the stone soon. They should be kind of mirror matched in timings. I think it's 5 compared to the 6. So Vortex might have a slight edge in that regard. And Vortex also scaling in a way to get the Imperial Academy. That's what we were looking for. So this means that he'll actually be able to outboom the Abbasid dynasties. Dick has to realize that this is a possibility, right? You're playing against China. We know they love that Song dynasty. It hits so nicely with that 30% reduced timing on producing villages. And if you know your opponent is going for second TC, what is your play here? You're either thinking trip TC or you're thinking 2 TC into aggression. I don't think you can try to play the long game against Vortex in this situation because he will just outscale you. So, stone gathered. Vortex still waiting on the wood. I think this is why he shifted people away from the stone. Is like he saw he was behind on the wood front, right? So just tried to rectify that. And even gathering a little bit extra as he is awkwardly delayed in this situation. Tech up is about done. So Song Dynasty begins. Now 13 seconds for those villagers. Meanwhile, Dick, second TC going down near the gold veins, continues to gather up all these corpses, something that we haven't seen out of Vortex, right? In fact, he doesn't have a military building yet. So while he's going to boom on the economy, he might run out of things to boom with, is my concern now. Because these deer carcasses are so valuable at this stage of the game. Quickest gather rate for food outside of like explicit bonuses for civs or going for the boars, which going for boars at this stage just isn't feasible. So we'll complete. I wonder if Vortex just actually continues mining stone. It wouldn't be the worst idea, actually. Like, go and trip TC, but then again, you have to feel confident on 2, right? You've got Song Dynasty, you've got double TC. It feels like trip TC could be very greedy in this matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if Dick contemplates it, though. But I think he just needs to be present more than anything. I think he goes for the castle age timing, tries to beat his opponent to it, and then tries to just build up a military force to push in. Vortex could try to play for a later timing. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to hang around, scale his economy up to 100, and then look towards going into the Yuan dynasty for the Fire Lancers. I think Fire Lancers can actually be pretty effective against what usually we see the Abbasid players push out in that mid-game situation, which is the men-at-arms. Of course, your better kind of preference is to get your hands on some sort of crossbow unit, but I'm just thinking from a, like, you're not going to use Yugnu, you're not going to get the value there, right? So you're probably aiming militarily for, like, Yuan Dynasty or beyond. It feels like that patch just can't come soon enough. We're going to have a patch in a few days to fix Springholds. Because, figuring out this matchup, there's definitely a noticeable advantage for Vortex, right? Like, he's going to be a scary boy with the Clock Tower once he gets to Castle Age. Be cool to see if that switches up the choice as well for these Chinese players, right, when they go to Castle Age. Because we almost always see the Clock Tower. because it's just so effective, right? Because it's the meta right now. You need Springles. You get more tanky Springles, bargain. Plus, it saves you the resources of investing into a workshop. Remember, those workshops aren't cheap for 300 quid. I'm looking forward to the switch up. I don't know if it's going to change it just because Nesta Bs are, like, low-key very strong right now. I think they're being slept on. Mainly because Springles are so strong right now that people don't want to risk the investment. Remember, Nesta Bs are more expensive. But yeah, I do expect to see that kind of pivot. Marketplace going down. Hopefully not for shenanigans, sir. I don't want to see any shenanigans. There is an exploit involving the marketplace. That's kind of the teeter-totter worry about this matchup, isn't it, now that I just look at it? We talked about not wanting to see Abbasid Dynasties doing anything filthy, which I hope he's not doing something filthy. Come on. You better not be. No, there's no way Dick would do that. Dick wouldn't come in with a Dick move, right? Just because it's in the name doesn't mean it needs to be in the game. I'm hoping. Nah, I'm going to say right now they won't. Like, these are top 100 ELO players, right? They got their honor. They want to actually win because they're more skilled and they learn the game. They don't want cheese. I just always get paranoid right now when I see multiple racks as being built due to Phalanx and how broken it is. That's how you do the exploit. Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys now. It's stupid. Oof. I shouldn't have told you that. To be honest, everyone knows it at this stage, I think. It's plastered everywhere. I've seen plenty of content creators bigger than me literally just telling you outright how to do it. I might as well just call it a how-to guide and charge you $5 on Patreon at that stage. But yes, it's just in prep for the Men-at-Arms. Because I think Dick, yep, just about to be complete with the Culture Wing. He just wants to spam out the Men-at-Arms that we talked about. Meanwhile, Vortex is just scaling economy fully. This is awkward. He's being beaten rather on the build up to the Castle Age. And he is being caught at a weak point, right? Because Vortex, because he never went for the deer, he is having to scale into the farm economy. And now he will get his tech up. So he starts to build the astronomical clock tower. But he's only got stone wall. He hasn't got stone walls, right? He's only got these wood walls here. So he's not actually that well protected if an immediate assault comes in. The good news for him is that these Men-at-Arms are slow, right? 1.12, it's unlikely they're going to be in your base anytime soon. So you do have time to build up a force. And you will start to build in the barracks as well. And this should just be the Palace Guard. Remember, the Palace Guard are absolutely amazing, folks. Although they are, in some ways, slightly weaker than Men-at-Arms, you could argue, I think the important detail to remember here is that they have, like, 0.2 movement speed more than Men-at-Arms. So they can actually just run past them and just weave around them. They can kite them, right? And what that makes Palace Guard, it makes them these amazing units to actually strike at the economy of your opponent, right? And that's what I'm looking for. If he goes Man-at-Arms, Palace Guard, rather, I want to see him just actually go straight for the eco lines of Dick. And Dick does have plenty of eco lines exposed, right? Will be by the time you're there anyway. The wood lines almost ran out here. And he never walled in anywhere. Did he go for the marketplace? Interesting double marketplace drop for the trade. We know, like, I'm quite surprised by this. Like, we don't actually see often players going into marketplace trade, let alone on Hill and Dale, right? I think the maps we've seen it on is Boulder Bay and French Pass. And those maps kind of make sense. This map, somewhat less, unless you wall off the entire area to protect it fully, which he hasn't done. I think his mindset is that Vortex is going to be moving a small, slow army, right? He's not going to be running cavalry at this stage of the game, so it's going to be very hard to expose this. And also, you just wouldn't expect it, right? How frequently have you seen this? We already just mentioned it. You don't really see Hill and Dale trade. So pretty cool out of the box move out of Dick there. Now building the double blacksmith, just wants to get all the tech ready. Man-at-Arms are in the field. Remember, they can actually build out in the field. I don't know why we ever thought we needed this tech. But yeah, they could try and actually match up the Springles. We'll get the Bam Rams out. But they're already behind on Springle count, right? So I'm kind of hesitant to say that Dick's going to play into it. I think you have to know you're at a disadvantage in this matchup. It's kind of why I expected to maybe see Horseman. Of course, the paranoia he has is Dick hasn't seen into Vortex space for quite a while. So for Dick, he's probably paranoid that there's going to be Zhugnu on arrival, which is why he's not going Horseman. Because although Horsemen get bonus damage against ranged units, the Zhugnu are very effective at shredding anything unarmored. Even Horsemen. Who, even though they got a range buff, they did lose health. And although it hurts the bursting power of Zhugnu, they're still pretty effective. Not to mention the other thought is, oh, maybe he goes Spearman, right? The Spearman are so cheap and easy to produce. Spearman's moving out with the Palace Guard. And this retreat is going to be slow. Dick is going to have to move all the way back to his base. This is the problem of going man-at-arms. This is where you're a weakness, right? It's actually, if your opponent starts to set the pace, you have to move defensively. You can't try and play in the fields. You can't play around away from your economy because you will lose that battle indefinitely. Now, problematic scenario. Building even more infrastructure, getting the archery ranges up as well. This should be crossbowmen. Really great solution to the Palace Guard if you can get them. But the Palace Guard are quick. And there's going to be a price to be paid. Dick needs to pull everyone off this wood line. It's about to be exposed. Vortex. Actually just engaged with the men-at-arms at the moment. The Springall's giving him the edge. Crossbowmen now coming out, so he needs to be a little bit careful. If anything, he needs to start sniping them out, because they'll be the weakness of the Palace Guard. But just prioritize the man-at-arms instead. He will switch over now and go straight for the crossbowmen. Very squishy, easy to snipe out. And this is not the way you use crossbowmen, folks. You don't run them into melee. They're not scary because they can club you around the face with the crossbows, because they can shoot the thing at you. The mistakes being made on those waypoints will lose them a few extra. Vortex moving in. Exposes the Springalls for a moment, but able to back them up. Palace Guard's still trickling in the meantime, alongside the Springall, and I'm worried for Dick right now. We're reaching critical mass on the Springall count. We're up to 8 already on the front line, more trickling in. Palace Guard holding you back from reaching them right now in these choke points is not good news for Dick, and Dick running out of troops to throw at this. The man-at-arms was a good idea, but in the matchup against China, we've seen if you match it piece for piece and transition as Springalls, China has the edge. And I think we might just be tapped out territory soon. You keep trickling out troops, but you can't reach your wood line anymore. Your economy's soon going to be exposed. And before you know it, no one's going to be able to work in this economy anymore. Crossbow still being sniped out. Palace Guard outlasted the man-at-arms, and that is going to be it. Vortex with the dominant show in the base. Dick didn't get the recon information early, wasn't prepared for what was coming his way. And the man-at-arms play, while it does seem like a powerful one to go into, when you're up against Palace Guard and Springalls, which is a predictable opening for China when they sit in their base that long, you're going to lose.